and across regions. Impulse Partners, accelerating the sustainable transformation of cities and industries. The world of urban and industrial infrastructure is facing huge challenges associated with the optimization of resources, changing uses, and the environmental and societal impact of their activities. At Impulse Partners, we are passionate about innovation in construction, smart cities, and industry. Impulse Partners has developed a global ecosystem of entrepreneurs, tech firms, VCs, and decision makers in the fields of construction, real estate, energy, and infrastructure. We are convinced that there is a huge opportunity for innovation and entrepreneurs in these fields, and that they can help reshape industry and improve efficiency and sustainability. We have years of experience in bringing together value chain stakeholders to accelerate digital and environmental innovation, and a successful track record of initiating pilot projects between startups and investment opportunities. Our role is to help detect the most promising innovative solutions and to connect them with the market. We act as a third party and a facilitator between industry players, startups, and investors. Impulse Partners work with many of the biggest names and industry leaders in our focus sectors, with more than 3,000 startups, and help accelerate their go-to-market strategy. We are a strong network of international investors in the sector, with 200 pilot projects, over 50 deployments, and over 50 high-profile investment deals. Impulse Partners have extensive experience in supporting corporate ventures, deal flow, and due diligence. Part of our job is to bring people together across the value chain and across regions. Impulse Partners, accelerating the sustainable transformation of cities and industries.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Global Construction Tech Program Innovation Session, coming to you live from Paris for a second time today. We've had a first webinar this morning for our partners in Asia and Middle East, and we're happy to find you again this afternoon to see our friends from the US, Canada, and Europe. As the title suggests, we're glad to have you with us today to talk about sustainability in construction and also explore how new technologies can improve environmental performance in this sector. For information, this session is being recorded, and we kindly ask to mute your microphone during this session, unless obviously you have a question. We're thrilled to welcome today 2 CVCs and 4 startups that will present their respective endeavors to address sustainability in construction. Each will have 10 minutes to pitch, following by a Q&A. Before introducing today's speaker, I'd like to address a few words about the Global Construction Tech Program that we've just recently launched at Impulse. As you may know, Impulse Partners, we're specialists in innovation, and our role is to accelerate innovation in the fields of construction, real estate, and energy, and as well as infrastructure. And to do so, we've developed a global ecosystem of entrepreneurs, tech firms, VCs, and decision makers, through which we've successfully triggered pilot projects with startup companies and generated investment opportunities. So I'm glad to introduce you to our first international platform at Impulse, the Global Construction Tech Program. So through this initiatives, we're bringing together companies from around the world to operate a global initiative, whose goal is to boost construction tech innovation, accelerate go-to-market strategies, and also help startups scale. Our mission is to bring together companies that have prioritized innovation in areas that include sustainability, as well as next generation technologies. So if you're here today, that's because we believe that your company can benefit from this initiative, and also that you can significantly accelerate your innovation strategy and also strengthen your leadership on innovation within the construction industry. So if you wish, if you wish to join us in this program. Joining this program provides several benefits. First, it's a direct access to over 3,000 world-class startups through our network. It's also equity benefits and access to world-class venture investors and POC pilot programs to test and validate startup solution. And just like we are doing today, when you join the Global Contact Program, you'll also allow you to meet industry peers, share best practices, and also develop your innovation network. This was just a quick overview of our activities, but if you are interested in having more information about our Global Construction Tech Program, please do not hesitate to reach out to our global team through this email, and we can also set up a call following that. So I'll just now pass the mic to Zineb, who will introduce today's speaker.
Thank you so much, Gabriel, for this introduction. So coming up today, we'll hear first from Juan Nieto, GP and founding partner at Zacua Ventures. Then Chris Fortunato, Vice President of CRH Ventures, will present us its CVC, its corporate venture. We will also hear presentations from 4 entrepreneurs today who will present us their sustainable construction tech startups. And finally, we will also have a few minutes at the end for Q&A and also open discussion. Please use your chat, like Gabriel said, or activate your microphone to discuss the subject of interest for you. Well, without further ado, let's start this innovation session dedicated to sustainability in construction tech. To begin, I'm very glad to welcome Juan from Zacua Ventures. Hi, Juan. Hi again.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning. Thanks a lot for having me. Do you want me to start sharing my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you? There you go. Can you hear me? I think we're all good, man. I'm looking at everything here. I got everything.
Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. Glad to see that all is good there, Bill. This one of the GPs and funding partners at Zacua Ventures. Thanks a lot for the introduction. Zacua Ventures is a global early stage construction tech fund, which is solely investing on the built environment across 3 main areas: productivity, sustainability, and urban solutions. I'm going to start with a bit of background about myself and my team, because probably one of the biggest differentiators of us is that we are all coming from corporate VC peer experience. So both Mauricio, Bibin, and myself, we all led corporate VC units at very large industry conglomerates like Hilti and Cemex, and faced many challenges by dealing with innovation, both externally with the different entrepreneurs and being up to date with the different trends, technologies, so on and so forth, but also taking care of what is happening inside our companies. So dealing with the change of mindset, trying to set up the right structure to deal with the kind of startups. So that's why we set up Zacua Ventures. Zacua Ventures is, as I said, is a build tech fund, just because we believe the construction sector is hopefully underinvested in terms of VC dollars. We know that the trends and the themes are clear, but what the industry is lacking the most is adoption. And that's why we are putting a unique platform of experts and a network to unlock those synergies between the different stakeholders across the sector. Lastly, we're a global fund. So I'm today connecting from Madrid, but I spend quite a few of my time in Singapore, where we have a satellite office. We also have another office in Madrid. We also have another office in Silicon Valley, where Bibin is located. And we also have 2 team members, one joining us from New York and another one joining us from Mexico. So I'm going to start with a little bit of background or where we are. Probably these 2 charts are pretty much well known by everyone. Maybe not that much the one on the right, it's on the left side. So I'm going to focus on that one. Construction is the second largest industry in the world, just preceded by financial services. But when you look into how many VC dollars has gone into construction tech over the past 10 years, those are just north of 50 million. You look into fintech VC volume, and those are north of 300 billion. So we believe there is a big investment gap between the 2 sectors that is the next. And that's what is causing all the productivity issues that we are seeing all across the sector during the past 30 years. This one is also nothing new for probably everyone in this room. We have seen that the construction is spending very little percentage of revenue into IT and R&D, just less than 1% on average. And this is not because everyone doesn't want to invest in innovation. It's just because the industry itself, because of specific nuances, are preventing from this to happen. So on this chart, what we are seeing is what is the at the end is the risk exposure that the stakeholder is taking. As you can see on the very left side of the screen, most of the financiers, developers, architects, engineers are taking very little risk. And when you look into margins, those are having like very large margins. You look into contractors, suppliers, and so on and so forth, and they are taking a bigger share of the risk, but the margins are so constrained. This utility distribution is pretty uneven, and that is what preventing the industry to improve. But this is starting to change. We have been tracking construction technology investment across the years since we launched CEMEX corporate business unit, also Hilti Tech Office back in 2016 and 2017. And on those years, there were less than $1 billion invested in construction tech. As of last year alone, we have seen over $7 billion invested in construction tech. And what is most important for us today is we have seen also the corporate participation increasing. So when we launched CEMEX Ventures, it was just a handful of us investing in construction tech from a corporate point of view. But as of today, 1 of every 4 deals, we are seeing corporate participation. That's because of the industry realizing what could be the potential impact of technology on the day-to-day business. As Sequoia Ventures, we are trying to follow the different megatrends that we are seeing out there, therefore invest in the technologies and entrepreneurs who can solve those problems. As of today, we are seeing the projects becoming more complex. We are seeing a lot of issues finding skilled labor all across the globe. We are seeing a lot of restrictions from a regulatory point of view, but also from a resource point of view. The people is getting more and more conscious with energy and climate change. That is what's made us focus into these 3 major themes that I said at the very beginning: productivity, making the built environment a safer and more efficient place by focusing on process digitalization, workflow optimization, cash flow management, payments, digital procurement, even marketplaces, so on and so forth. Once the data is there, we also seen a lot of potential for AI applications into construction. So taking that data, crunching it, and getting it back to a better management of those processes and optimization of those workflows. We are also seeing a lot of impact of robotic solutions lately into construction tech. That's why we have done a few investments in this space already, but also new construction methods. That is where historically we have been receiving the most of the opportunities, the most of the deals, and the most of the startups. As of today, we believe that this is starting to change. So sustainability is a big focus for us now, just because everyone in this room, I believe, knows how much carbon emissions is the industry contributing to the atmosphere. That's why it's important to understand where those emissions are coming from, how you can assess, and how you can abate those. So we are putting most of our efforts into trying to decarbonize the different building material supply chains, decarbonize the process on site, but also decarbonize the operations of the assets and also the later demolition. So trying to bring the circularity levels up into the industry and also allow like new business models like material passports to gain traction across the sector. Lastly, or as we say the day after tomorrow, we're also focusing on urban solutions. A big topic for everyone now is about housing affordability. Prices of housing has gone up significantly over the past few years. That's why we're investing out trying to drive the cost of housing down. We're also investing in smarter cities and buildings and also in innovative energy and resilient infrastructure. I'm going to make a quick stop on Sequoia pitch just to bring this up because we have done a pretty big survey. So 80 corporate VCs and VCs surveyed by November, December last year into what will be their focus for 2023. So historically, when we run this kind of surveys, most of the respondents were putting their efforts in productivity softwares, field management, project management kind of applications. But last year, this started to change. So almost 2/3 of the respondents had said that sustainability is a big topic for them from an investment point of view. But I think I got cut. So I'm going to restart on this slide. So we are a big fund which is only backed by very large industry conglomerates. So here we are just showing a few logos of who is our investors. As you can see, we have investors which are coming from different profiles, from builders, suppliers, software players, developers, and even distributors of building materials. But a lot of those are coming from different markets. We have investors from Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, multiple countries in Europe, both North and Latin America. What we are putting here together is a platform which is able to unlock these ecosystem adoptions between our entrepreneurs or portfolio companies, the tech ecosystem overall, and getting those together with the right partners at the right point in time. So we help our corporate partners to understand and frame their strategic roadmaps from an innovation point of view, get access and the expertise on the technologies that are relevant for them today. And this is also pretty secret because it gets back to our portfolio companies and to the industry in terms of market access and support. Lastly, how is our portfolio looking as of today? So we have started investing this fund as of April last year. We have done 7 investments so far, 9 investments in 7 companies so far along the year. We have invested in 5 different companies in North America, which is probably what I'm going to put the focus today because of the attendees into this room. But we have invested on Document Crunch, which is a assisted document review software purpose-built for the construction sector. They're able to analyze under risk construction legal contracts for both contractors and developers on a pretty interesting manner. We have been also investing in procurement, both from a digital procurement point of view, investing in field materials, which is digitizing and democratizing procurement for drywall and mechanical trades. But we have also invested in Constructs, which is a B2B sustainable marketplace, which is already operating in 6 very large markets all across Latin America. Lastly, we have done also an investment in Sidewire, which is a virtual and remote inspections process, and also an investment in Raise Robotics, which is a high precision fastening application for facades in large vertical construction projects. So this is us. I tried to condense this in just below 10 minutes. So if anyone wants to continue the discussion around construction tech, around the technologies that we share, around our backgrounds, around the fund itself, I will be very happy to have a discussion afterwards or hear your questions later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Juan, for this very interesting presentation about Zacua Ventures. Does anyone have any first questions? You can type them down or just activate your mic if you want to ask them directly to Juan. I see no participants. That's very good. Okay, thank you so much, Juan. Thanks again for being available and for sharing with us. Well, now I'm very happy to welcome Chris, who will present us CRH Ventures. Hi, Chris.
Hi, guys. Guess I can go right ahead.
Yes.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. So yeah, I appreciate the Impulse team having us here. I'll start by telling you a little bit about CRH. So CRH itself, oh, I might be frozen. Give me a sec here. Oh. Sorry, give me a sec here. Okay, you guys can see this. Yeah, I'll start by telling you guys a little bit about CRH because we just launched the venture fund at the end of last year, but the company itself has been around for quite a while. And so the business that we're in is in building materials and solutions, services that sit on top of those materials. The company itself is quite large, operating in 29 countries, 75,000 employees, and those operations predominantly being in the US and Europe, and have a small set of operations in Canada as well. In terms of the materials that we offer, predominantly the ones you see on the screen, within infrastructure, we've kind of expanded that into landscaping products as well, so things you might find in someone's backyard. But being vertically integrated in the sense of materials and products means the engineering and design of those materials, the production facilities associated with them, the distribution, even down to mining for the aggregate materials that they're comprised of. Company was founded back in 1970. They are headquartered in Dublin. That's actually where I am today at our headquarters. Otherwise, I'm usually based in New York. We have ventures teams in both Europe and the US, spread throughout around our operations. the company's built itself through acquisitions. So no one operates under the CRH brand. We have more localized brands that when we've acquired them, we prefer them to keep their own name. So they're a range in sizes, but depending on where you're based, you may know of an operation that we own. And so the point there is we've always been a partner to entrepreneurs, certainly not tech entrepreneurs initially, entrepreneurs building their own cement plants or asphalt plants or some other industrial production facility. Pretty much, I think over 90% of the operations that we've acquired were those where the founder of the operation was still leading it. So, think of it as a succession plan for most of the people that whose operation we've acquired. And we've expanded the business quite a bit since that time. So we have quite a big reach in terms of where we can work with entrepreneurs. And I think the fragmentation actually makes it a little bit easier for us to pilot new technologies. Whenever we're working with something where we narrow sort of zero in on a very specific operation, there's not like some global head of modular construction that I'd go to. Perhaps we just go to like one specific facility to work with an entrepreneur. So in that sense, I think we tend to move quite quickly in our partnerships. I'll tell you about the ventures group. So on one hand, we have a $250 million fund for early stage investments. We prefer to skew earlier stage. That's thing about most companies are offering a services business model. So for us, we look at it as investing in things that extend the interaction with our customers on top of the products that we're already selling. And then what developing growth platforms is, we have another pool of capital, which you can just think of as off balance sheet investing, where we have a view that venture financing isn't the best financing product for all of the things that we're interested in. And so we may look at credit offerings or more private equity style investing, because we think the financing of certain industrial innovation has been a barrier to bring certain things to market. And so, our whole existence is to sort of speed up the way in which things can come to market. And so that means we need to have a different financing product to offer entrepreneurs and not let that sort of thing get in the way of innovation. So kind of zeroing down more on our focus areas, all these sort of comprise the different elements of our business. As you can imagine, as a materials producer, we're a pretty large offender as far as carbon output. So decarbonization is, the largest priority for us. Trying to invent new materials ourselves or invest in them. We prefer to invest at the earlier stages because we want to work directly with entrepreneurs. We want to be users or partners in some way with every company that we invest in. And we think that's really important to bringing things to market. There's plenty of places to go and get capital, but to be the first customer of something is often more the need for an entrepreneur, depending on the product. So that's really what we want to exist as. And our own investing is more about finding the best solution to a problem or need that we have. So, if that's an early stage investment, great. But if that happens to be a later stage investment, we will form around that as well. So it's really just about bringing the best things to market, and we'll be flexible in the other ways that we invest. We're indifferent as far as leading or just being a part of the syndicate and all those types of terms. For us, it's really about the way in which we can partner. So here's just another way of looking at those focus areas, sort of like our entire business value chain. We really are looking at this in terms of wanting to disrupt ourselves, whether it's looking at new cementitious materials. We're one of the largest cement producers in the world, but the the goal for us is to find a new material there. It's one of the major sources of carbon output. So if we can find a new cementitious material, that's sort of the holy grail in everything that we're doing on our ventures and innovations team. Same thing with marketplaces. That's another way of putting that is commoditizing suppliers, but that's sort of the future of our industry. And so, we won't be afraid to invest in that stuff. We just want to be a part of it in any way and allow our business to evolve accordingly. So, really investing in everything that might affect our business. Here's a couple examples of things we've invested in. And I'll just highlight more specifically AIcrete. AI, so they're leveraging AI to optimize mix designs for concrete. And the thing I want to highlight there is the partnership that we have. So we're giving to the company raw materials and mix equipment, so that's not something that they have to spend their investor dollars on. That doesn't accrue directly to the value of the business. And I think, a lot of times companies in industrial tech have to spend their investor capital and dilute themselves on things like that, buying a cement mixer or some raw materials when, it's easy for us to lend that to entrepreneurs and they can operate a little bit more efficiently. So that's, just an example of the way, we want to partner. And for something like that, we don't ask for anything in return. We're certainly invested and aligned with the company, but don't want to create any more complexity in allowing the company to move quickly and come to market as fast as they can be successful with what they have developed. We are about to launch an accelerator, and so we're excited to launch that in partnership with Impulse. It is going to be focused on water. It's sort of the next vertical that our company as a whole will be looking into. So understanding the innovation and technology aspects of that market kind of informs everything that we're going to be doing across the company. How it'll look is a short program. We'll have 3 to 6 companies working directly with our operating companies across the US and Europe. We're going to be testing a lot of different technologies. We kind of split it up in terms of the types of water. So these are some of the products on the right, physical products that we already offer to date, and some of the operating companies below that offer those. And so that'll be everything from working at municipalities that are our close customers, say where we help them build a filtration center and getting new filtration technology in there, down to deploying new robots in the piping systems that we've built. And we think kind of offering our infrastructure, the projects we've built, up to entrepreneurs as a sort of lab is a pretty unique offering. It's, water's a huge market. It's very attractive to companies that have already scaled their businesses, but not an area that has seen a lot of venture funding. And so I think the disconnect there is just having a way to bring new things to market, for people participating around water. So that's us. Here's my email. I mean, really, we're here. Appreciate the ability to tell everyone about CRH and CRH Ventures, but really just looking forward to being a contributor to the Impulse community. Learning more about what our peers are working on. We're big fans of the SUKUA team, so it's a pleasure to be here and looking forward to the other presentations. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Chris. It was very insightful. Does anyone have questions? Yes, we have, I think, a question from Chris Sharples.
Yes, Chris Sharples from Shop Architects. Two quick questions. One is, because you are also getting to the detail and sort of behind the scenes with some of your companies you invest in, especially when with concrete and sourcing the materials. There's a lot of conversation out there on the ESG side in terms of ethical sourcing. Is this a priority when you start looking at some of these different sort of, as you're saying, in the concrete industry? Is this something that you are actively looking at?
Yeah, I mean, that would be, very important to anything that we're doing. We're certainly not looking to, have a quick stopgap solution or get some quick lift in a new material that can fit into our business and give us a little bit of carbon reduction. We want globally scaled solutions that we can leverage across the company. And so, if we're going to deploy something across a business as large as ours, I mean, we're going to look at every aspect of that business, which would absolutely include how a material is ethically sourced, who's involved, every aspect of it for sure. We don't want to sit here and just pilot stuff and call ourselves innovators because we did a bunch of pilots or had a little bit of a emissions reduction. We want to do things at a large scale. And like I said, in order to do that, you're going to look at every aspect of a business.
And one other question on modularization. What companies have you been looking at in terms of the volumetric modular space?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we're not, say, building a whole house. We might offer certain materials that get deployed into someone who's ultimately going to develop the whole house. I think what we're most interested in there is platforms that are, say, for someone like yourself, an architect designing a structure based around our products, or vice versa, that we're designing products that allow you to enable the designs that you want. As I think there's a lot more, what's going to happen in the modular industry is there will be a lot more of a connection between suppliers and architects. So I don't want to put anyone on blast, good or bad, on who we like in that space, but maybe we can chat another time about who we're fans of.
Yeah, that'd be great, Chris. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. All right. Thank you very much, Chris. We'll, of course, have the moment at the end for an open discussion if we have time. Thank you so much again. Okay, so now let's start the startups presentations with Remy, who will present us Bloom Renewables, a solution specializing in the valorization of biomaterials, which convert plant waste into chemicals used in packaging and as a sustainable alternative to petroleum. Hi, Remy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much to the Impulse partners to have me here for the second time today. It's a pleasure always to share our vision and mission on the path to a sustainable future. So a few words about myself. I'm a chemist, and I got the chance to work for the government here in Switzerland. And this is a lot of the motivation I have to find solutions come from the understanding that we need to start really at the beginning of things. So moving around atoms will be one of the biggest challenges, and we will need many solutions. And we really believe scientifically that plants can do much more than what they do today. So let me guide you a bit through what we have done so far and how we're going to bring this carbon into the market. So if we look at biomass, what we are concentrating on is lignocellulosic biomass. This is basically terrestrial plants. And we focus on the non-edible part of it, which is mainly composed of these three polymers that you see here. Cellulose is known by everybody thanks to the pulp and paper industry, but the two others that contain almost as much carbon are much less known by the wider public, and the reason is really that they do not exist in products, so people are not in contact with them. And there is the biggest potential of finding renewable carbon, and we have been spending the last 5 years tackling this problem from a scientific perspective. So in a nutshell, what we have looked at is how you can actually break apart this biomass that is built to actually resist harsh conditions. And we have developed aldehyde-assisted fractionation, which is a deep tech kind of approach to separate these fractions in order to not destroy the structures of lignin and hemicellulose, which is the case today in the pulp and paper industry and in all other kind of types of fractionation systems. And this allows us today to gather kind of a quality of cellulose that is equivalent to the pulp and paper, but have a hemicellulose and a lignin that is way more performant and that allows us to get to products that are not possible to replace today with biomass-derived molecules. So I just want to show you this without going into the chemistry here. What I would like to focus on is this central kind of part of the diagram here. This is actually the structure we have patented. So you have to really imagine that we looked at the fraction of biomass that we want to valorize and manage to kind of lock an intermediate structure. And that's what we built our chemistry on. And within the last few years, we have expanded this chemistry to produce a variety of products on the lignin as a focus, but also on other fractions such as hemicellulose, with 5 families of patents by now protecting different parts of this process or the end product. And as you can see in the bottom here, we can bring now these products a bit like a refinery into a wide range of applications across sectors. Now, I hope I could convince you that we have, developed the basis for a new era of biorefining. And the way we look at it is you don't have just the aspect of circularity that you need to master to get to this future-proof product, but you really have to go into high performance. That means you have to understand your chemistry to match what the petrochemical industry has been doing so far. And on the other hand, you need to be scalable, and this is mainly because you need to get to the costs or the production efficiency that the petrochemical industry has today, and this is only possible by scale. And we have brought these 3 pillars together, and to give you a glimpse a bit on how performant we are on the environmental side, we compare ourselves to petro-based materials, and as you can see in the graph here, we allocate this CO2 of this process to different products, and if you look at the mix, we generally are above 50% of reduction and go in some cases up to 96% reduction. And this is also to remind that if you design processes thinking of the environmental footprint, you can get much better than what is done today, even with very optimized process from the petrochemical industry. Now, the second part of my talk will be more on the validation of how we brought these products to markets. And here I would like to highlight the general view first and then dive into 2 projects that are relevant for the construction sector. So the first kind of approach is to separate things between fine chemicals and bulk chemicals. So in refining, you do the same aspect. You basically separate the valuable materials on which you make much more, generate more revenue than on the bulk ones. And in the end, there is always something to be burnt, which today is the marine fuels, for instance, that are really heavy things that you can only burn to be valorized and sold at a very low price. Now, we have used this kind of approach to do the same with our biorefining, focusing first on the fine chemicals, because that's where you can generate early revenues, and they not only early because it's a high value product, but especially because you can produce smaller amounts and already satisfy niche markets and help you to actually navigate the kind of capex intensive projects. Now, in the long run, the kind of target is to get into bulk chemicals. So the elegant way of doing it is you saturate your fine chemical markets and you make sure that the side stream of these fine chemical markets fit into bulk markets so that you can get the large environmental impact. Now, I would like to dive into two projects. One is on construction resins, where we have shown that our lignin oligomers, this is a side product of our monomer production that goes into fine chemicals, has super good efficiency in replacing polyols in polyurethanes. This is not only the kind of level of replacement that has convinced our partner, but also the processability. So because we control our chemistry much better, we can control mechanical properties of the mixtures better, and therefore provide what our partner is looking for. And now we're developing in a joint development agreement markets of the value of 10 million by 2028. The second project I would like to highlight here is a type of new bioplastic that we have developed that is called polyalkyl xylose. This is really replacement for polyesters, and the beauty here is you can really, in 2 steps from molecules that you find in nature, build materials that have excellent mechanical properties, but also manage to hold the gas, so have barrier property and processability again, like in the previous case. And this again has convinced partners. Here we have joined with Amcor, one of the largest packaging industry available. And now, if we look at where we stand, we have produced over the past few years on this equipment that you see here. This has allowed to actually engage with the partners and produce samples of 10 kilogram size and validate all the processes and standardize the products and procedures. And we now look into the future. This is how our next kind of production unit could look like. This is a demonstration unit of 1,000 tons production per year. This has been designed by De Smet. This is an expert engineering company in Belgium, focusing mainly on biorefining. And we have managed already to get contracts that cover around 30% of the OPEX. The target being to have an OPEX-free operation here to be able to develop the markets further and validate the technology. So if we look at the timeline, we have started in 2018, founded the company in 2019. Then we raised a seed round of around 4 million with Breakthrough Energy Venture at the end of 2020. And this allowed us to go through this validation that I just presented, and have now opened in February our Series A of 10 million that we plan to close before the summer. And the consortium is there. There is still some place for new investors. So if you have an interest to join and get more information, just reach out to me. I would be pleased to provide you access to our data room as well. So with this, I would like to leave the time to answer some question if there is time left. And thank you for your attention.
Yes, there is. Thank you so much, Remy. Thank you for presenting us Bloom Biorenewables. Do we have some questions from the audience? Okay, I think not for now. Well, everyone has your contact, so please feel free to reach out to Remy if you want any info about biorenewables. Thank you so much, Remy.
Excellent. Thank you all.
Well, let's now welcome Ido, who will present EcoCrete, which develops sustainable concrete for construction ecologically active infrastructures, which are designed for enhancing the biological and ecological value of coastal and marine infrastructures. Hi, Ido.
Hi, good to see you and good to be here again this morning. I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, hi everyone. My name is Ido Stella. I'm co-founder and CEO of EcoCrete. I'm a marine biologist by profession, focusing the last 20 years on the impact of coastal construction and urbanized area on the marine environment. And this is where EcoCrete started 10 years ago, as basically studying the major construction methodologies that are negatively affecting the marine environment. Today, we are the only environmental concrete technology that fully complies with marine construction standards and offshore construction standards, provide scientifically proven biological and ecological benefits, and because of that, also financial benefits to our clients. We were established in 2012 when we started proof of concept and testing the technology in a tropical environment, temperate environment, in different regions of the world. Around 2050, when the data started to see the clear efficiency of the technology, we started to implement it into infrastructure projects. And since then, we have more than 40 projects ranging around the world. We're operating from 3 hubs, Tel Aviv, Barcelona, and New York, and 2 logistics centers, one in Spain and the other in Florida. We are a technology provider. We are licensing our technology to local manufacturers and contractors using local materials that are basically receiving from us a technology package. And the problem we're dealing with is the problem of concrete that is used in marine construction. More than 70% of coastal infrastructure worldwide, if it's port, waterfronts of cities, bridge foundations, breakwater, etc., are concrete-based. And concrete is usually associated with a negative impact on the marine environment, low biodiversity, dominance of invasive species, poor water quality, which become a crucial point for a lot of working waterfronts, urbanized area, and also offshore, that they need to deal with that in order to get permits, mitigation, or other requirements. This is where we step in with a technology that is incorporated into the local concrete casting process, using an admix that is added into the local concrete, different agents that are applying on the molds, and different molding solution. And this package is actually modifying the concrete structure, if it's culverts, if it's pier piles, if it's breakwater, in a way that it can be nature inclusive, show an increase in biodiversity and ecosystem services without affecting structural performance, and being completely in line with the industry requirements. We are operating all the time under the ASTM, a European standard, the British standard, and the Australian standard. And when the technology is applied in a proper way, this is what you'll see. So what you see here is examples from the Atlantic, a slab of concrete modified with our technology and showing the recruitment of wide range of organisms. A lot of them are secreting calcium carbonate, like oysters and barnacles and corals, for example, in other regions, and encapsulating the concrete, making it stronger, but also creating an amazing ecological uplift. We're committing to at least doubling biodiversity, significantly increasing water quality in a near infrastructure that is modified with our technology, reducing the dominance of invasive species, creating habitats and increasing species riches. But another thing is really creating a very effective carbon sequestration process. The creation of those skeletons of the corals and the oyster, etc., is one of the most efficient carbon sequestration processes in nature. And 1 kilometer of seal, which is around a little more than half a mile, will have the same carbon sequestration capacity as 100 adult trees every year. Our technology is used in the port of Rotterdam, in different ports in Spain, in France, to modify infrastructure to gain, hopefully, blue carbon credits in the future, as well as biodiversity credits. We have, as I said, we have experience all over the world. Because we are providing technology and everything is implemented locally, we can have a wide spread of implementation, ranging from tropical environments to temperate environment. All of them are infrastructure. Just to give an example of how the technology is implemented, this is a massive breakwater now, just finishing construction in Mallorca in Spain, where our technology was integrated into the massive block and the Acropod units used for the construction of the breakwater because of environmental requirements. This means that we provide the technology to the local precaster or the local contractor that incorporate them in the long process of casting those massive units. And then the system is installed from the mean high water line down to the bottom, only on the wet surfaces, and the rest, which is above the water, can be done with a standard concrete. Same large unit in the, for example, a new quay walls in the port of Malaga that was built with our technology. You see here is just the difference. A few months after installation, on the bottom you can see the gray concrete, the standard concrete, not showing the biology. Same mix with our technology applied on it, showing a tremendous change in the upper part. We are incorporating our technology in a lot of seawalls and pier piles. This, for example, in the port of Vigo, we just finished installation of replacing seawalls within the basin, and also allowing the public to go underwater and see the change within the port. The technology can be blended on any type of concrete system. A lot of the project we did with our coastal erosion. In this case, for example, in New Jersey, what you see here is when the regulator evaluated our performance, what you see on the right side is a standard unit. What you see on the left side is exactly the same unit, modified with our technology. They were placed on site, touching each other for a year, and this is a year after installation. You can see the change of the system. Both of them are in full compliance with the industry standards and the structural requirements, but one have the ability to support nature in a much better way. That's the reason that the technology was chosen also for the first phase and the second phase of protecting this township. Incorporating this to breakwater, chain of breakwater, and protecting the tip of Staten Island in New York. Our technology is incorporated as 20% of the armor of those breakwater. And the reason that the technology was incorporated, because it was found that when they take local concrete, they modify it with our technology, they're getting much better oyster recruitment, for example, than the quarry rock that are used for the breakwaters. So the systems units are incorporating into the construction of the breakwater. In this case, is in the state of New York, because of incorporating environmental technologies into the construction of this, reduced mitigation costs dramatically on this project, to cost relief for around 10 million on a 110 million project. Because the Corps acknowledged this project as the first self-mitigating project in the Northeast. Technology is widely used also for armoring of shipping channels and waterways. In this case, the Port of San Diego using our technology for armoring the shipping channel to the port. The needed replacement and maintenance. In this case, there were issues with environmental permits. By using our technology, they can get to their structural requirements and at the same time provide ecosystem services, proven ability to create an ecological uplift and bringing back species that were never found before. A large portion of our work is the offshore industry, where we're recommended technology by the Dutch government, by the Nature Conservancy in the US, and also by Natural England in the UK for the North Sea, where our technology is mostly incorporated into the articulated concrete mattresses, like you see here on screen, or concrete systems that are used to protect underwater assets. Just an example for this, the cables that are now going from Long Island towards the upcoming wind farms are protected with our technology. Cables that are running underwater, high voltage cable, in this case between the Canary Islands, is protecting with our system. When there is a requirement to do a capping that can be accessible and according to requirements of the contractor, and they are specifying concrete, they can reach out to us. We're applying the technology, and then they can have a system that is nature inclusive. This is 10 months after installation, and you can see how the system is completely incorporated and showing the same biology as the natural reef nearby. Same for systems that are protecting gas pipe. In this case, the Trans-Adriatic gas pipe that is feeding Italy from Albania is protected with our technology. Our next phase is going offshore and dealing with scour protection for wind turbines. We did now the first pilot on this 12-mile offshore New York under Department of Environmental Conservation New York, where we developed a technology that can reduce the footprint on the seabed of the scour protection, which is basically the part that is protecting the base of the turbine, reducing the footprint on the seabed, and also have the ability to support ecosystem services. So we just finished launching, I think 6 months ago, the first installations, and we're just getting now the new images, and it's very promising, both in terms of ecological performance and hydraulic performance. That's what we do. I think the take-home message of eConcrete is that you can build better. Now the industry is very it's a very strict and conservative industry, and specifically in marine construction, and we provide a solution that can really reduce the ecological footprint and create ecosystem services and uplift on any concrete structure around the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ido. That was really insightful. Do we have any questions in the audience? Okay, not for now, I think. Of course, don't hesitate to type them down if you want to. Well, I'm very happy to welcome Theodore, who will present us Captis, which is a plug-in technology able to capture up to 90 of the emitted CO2, store it in liquid form directly on board, and recycle it. Thanks, Theodore, for being with us today.
Yes, hi everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So first of all, thanks a lot for giving us the opportunity to pitch our solution today. I'm Theo, and I am one of the co-founders at Captis. So at Captis, we are building a CO2 capture technology to, as mentioned, reduce up to 90% of the carbon emission from the exhaust of internal combustion engine. So this can include many markets, ranging from construction generators, on-site generators, to EV vehicles. So we have the possibility with this technology to retrofit EV vehicles, and this is why we call it mobile carbon capture. So by retrofitting EV vehicles, we can provide a solution to help the freight industry to drastically reduce its carbon emission and to help transporters to provide low carbon offerings. So a few words about Captis right now. So we are an early stage clean tech startup. We are a spin-off from EPFL, a top engineering school in Switzerland. We have 2 patents in our portfolio, and we have raised up to 1.9 million in one funding round and also some grants. Now we are 5 full-time employees equivalent. But before speaking about the solution and the solution we're bringing to the market, let's talk about the why. Why are we developing this solution? So firstly, because we found out that EV duty transport, and more particularly road freight industry, is emitting a lot, around 9% of our global carbon footprint. And secondly, because this sector is very far from achieving its climate targets. This is due to the current low carbon offering, which has some advantages, but they have also some drawbacks. So electric and hydrogen, they require to change every truck in circulation in the world, buy a new one and a more expensive one. And the second reason is that it's not only a change of technology in the vehicle itself, but also on the whole supply chain behind. So from the production of the new energy source, green electricity or green hydrogen, to its distribution and storage. So this is changing the whole supply chain, which for us will take decades. As an example, in Europe, we have only 5,000 green trucks circulating in the roads, while we would need up to 400,000 more trucks by 2030 to reduce by 45% the carbon emission from this sector. So that's why we think there is a potential for a retrofitting solution, mobile carbon capture, which has 2 main advantages. The first one is that it is low cost, because we do not require to change the whole vehicle, but we put an equipment on it. So it's a cost of an equipment. And secondly, because it is fast to deploy, as we rely on the existing fueling station. How does it work? There are 3 main steps. The first one is that we are connecting our device to the truck's exhaust pipes, so directly from the pipes, and then we recover the heat from the exhaust. So we have waste heat available from the exhaust that we take and that we will use for the second step of the process, which is absorption and desorption of the CO2. So when the stream enters into our column of absorbent, then the CO2 gets selectively attached into the pores of the solid absorbent that we use. And then when we re-inject part of the heat we previously recovered, at higher temperature, the CO2 gets dissolved from the solid absorbent. So this is how we isolate CO2 from the stream. The rest of the stream is released to the environment. And then the third step is that we compress this molecule of CO2 from the gaseous state to the liquid state. So at the end, we have liquid CO2 in a storage tank on board of a vehicle. And a question that often comes later is, what do we do with this liquid CO2? So from the user's perspective, the truck driver perspective, at the end of his duty, let's say after 8 hours of driving, he has to simply offload this liquid CO2 from the onboard storage tank to the main fixed storage tank. So our beachhead market, what we want to target first is closed loop truck, because they will go from point A to B or to C, so we can discharge the liquid CO2 in this depot. It takes approximately 10 minutes. And then at Captis, what we have to provide is that we have to handle this liquid CO2. So what we want to offer to this company, so to the transporters, is that on a monthly basis, we take out this liquid CO2 from this ground storage tank that we sell to our network of partners. So today there are many markets using or storing CO2. So there is a established market, chemical, pharmaceutical, or greenhouses. And now there is a new and fast-growing market, which is called CO2 valorization. And this includes, for example, a technology called CO2 mineralization that you already know, that we can incorporate CO2 into building materials in order to store it for hundreds of years. So this can bring extra revenue for Captis and its customer. Few words about the technological roadmap. So we have performed our laboratory test in 2020 with EPFL, and now we are currently testing our V1 prototype, which is a prototype in an industrial environment, meaning that we test our system with the generators, connected to generators, and also we will test it after that with the engine of a truck. Our goal is to validate the technology in an industrial environment this year to reach TRL 5, and then to design the second version of our prototype, which will be fully integrated into a truck, a Class 8 trucks. Then we want to define our V1 product in 2024 to do some pilots with that, with 10 units, and then to reach full commercialization in 2026. The business model behind is that we want to propose this device, so to install it and maintain it through our network of partner, industrial garages, and handle also this liquid CO2 at the end in exchange for a leasing fee. And you will ask us why now transporter needs a green solution. So it's not in Europe, for the case of Europe, there is no steel regulation in place, there is no carbon tax in place, but it's mainly pushed by the market incentive. So these transporters, they want to keep their portfolio of clients, and these clients have their own climate goal. So they are pushing along the whole supply chain, including transporters, to reduce the carbon emission. So now transporters are looking for this a solution. In Europe, 2 weeks ago, we've got good news because now they want to implement a carbon tax in 2027. Now, so we have 2 early customers. So one is the Swiss and French transporters. We will test our second version of our prototype with him on his truck, and he's helping us also on the integration of the truck. And we have also a Japanese multinational with whom we are doing a joint development agreement, a co-development agreement to adapt our technology to a specific application out of the truck market. So we are doing this feasibility study, front-end engineering and building of the prototype with them. We have also signed some LOIs, MOU with CO2 buyers, and we just completed our pre-seed round, 1.3 million. Here you can have an outlook of the our ecosystem. So you can see the logo of EPFL, our R&D partner. And during our pre-seed round, so we had a combination between business angel, venture capital funds, and also one strategic investor, Cargill. So the VCs are Blackwood and also Plug and Play, helping us also in many accelerators program, connecting with corporates. And also we are supported by renowned institution, so the Ministry of the Environment in Switzerland, IMD, and also some incubators. So that's about it. Thanks a lot for listening to the presentation, and I'm very happy to answer a potential question if you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Theodore. It was really interesting to hear directly about what you develop and to have you present us Captis.
Thank you.
Does anyone have questions in the audience? Okay, I think not for now. Thanks again, Theodore.
Yes, thank you again.
Thanks. Finally, Tiffen will now present Lico Labs, which is a solution that combines wood lattice structures with advanced robotics manufacturing to enable the construction of buildings of any size with wood, replacing steel and concrete, and mitigating hundreds of tons of CO2 per home. So thank you, Tiffen, for being here with us.
Thank you. Hi, everyone, and thank you all for the great presentation. I hope you can hear me well and see the screen. Great. So we're going to talk about carbon negative construction, automotive robotics, and optimized products. So what we've done at Lico Labs is that we developed the only optimized solution powered by robotics and AI that is capable of building tailor-made construction. And this tailor-made construction are actually not reducing the carbon emission, but are sink for carbon, because trees are capturing carbon all over the life cycle, and we now put this carbon into our construction. So basically, when we think about construction and net zero target in Europe by 2050, concrete and steel needs to be replaced as materials as of now, as they are contributing to 15% of the world's CO2 emission. And we think at Lico that mass timber is actually the great advanced solution to replace those two materials. It is not a revolution. Obviously, we've all seen buildings that are, I don't know, 1,000 years old, still up and running now in every country. But there is a growing demand for wood and for this material, because we now have a lot of technology to support it, and also a lot of forest resources that have been growing. We have seen an evolution of plus 50% in wood stock in Europe over the past 30 years. So there is a great momentum. At Lico, we have been creating a lattice. This is actually a new building materials. So it is made of wood and wood fiber. And it is actually a wall that can support multi-story building. And it is developed based on a proprietary software that provides a message to an assembly line that is automatized with robotics support. So when we speak about the proprietary software, it is actually calculating for every plant we received in 2D the construction requirements in terms of thermal, acoustic, and structural aspect for every wall, which would be different. And obviously, as you can see, the top of the building is based on special lattice that of less wood than the lattice at the bottom of the building. So to better illustrate this, on the right-hand side here, you can see the representation of a 6-story building. And as you can see here, the lattice will be composed of a lot of woods compared to the top floor that is only supporting the roof. And this optimization allows us to actually use 50% less wood than CLT, which is cross-laminated timber, which is the traditional building materials that we can see in mass timber. So this optimization product so the software and the lattice are patents, and the patent is international. Just a few figures to illustrate the good aspect of that, and also the competitiveness of this product in terms of pricing, but also compared to the traditional building materials. So compared to steel and concrete, everything above ground can be replaced by wood. So it represents on average 75%. We are using 50% less raw materials than traditional CLT, and 95% less of glue than CLT. And this is also very important because we are thinking cradle to cradle. So the whole life cycle of the building, because we are using less glue, we can actually recycle our panels. And this is really a trend that we are seeing now and that we start implementing in all our contracts. The capacity of LECO to be able to disassemble and reuse the wood for new construction. In terms of installation, there is a good advantage for constructor is that our walls are thinner than concrete walls, and that enable us to provide 5% gain in surface area compared to a concrete building. But it is also a prefabricated solution, so less traffic, no time requirements or required to have the concrete on place, but also less workforce requirements. Maybe to provide a better view of our products and production line. So if this is working, yes, you can see. So the up and running automated line. So as you can see, we are using automotive robotics. They are controlled by our software solution and can actually build the walls on a tailor-made basis. So as you can see, the wood slats are positioned on this vertical wall, and then we can put the insulation inside. And maybe you can have the vision in this video is that the full microfactory is actually a very small footprint on the floor. And this is why we call it microfactory. We think that in the future, this could be actually developed on the ground locally by raw material constructor. One word on the offer. So we consider us as a one-stop shop because we take the plan from the architect. Our internal design team will then validate the plan. And we have so this internal proprietary software that can implement all the computation on the feature of each walls into the software and send the message to the automation line. Then we have these step 4 and 5 that are the installation parts, which is actually not the basis of our business in the future, but much more the building materials as itself. Few points on what we've delivered until now. So we've done a selection of few construction. So the first one is to show that we have single family, multi-family buildings, but also some complex buildings, including commercial, but also offices inside. Maybe something we don't show here is the retrofit. We've also performed some retrofits and rehabilitation of buildings. Concretely, the product is secured by patents. In France, we have the decennial insurance, which is mandatory. All the calculation about the carbon footprint is covered and certified by the EPD. And we're going to have, in a few weeks from now, the European Technical Assessment, which is good to answer quickly to big offers in Europe. An overview of the roadmap. So we are based in Luxembourg. Currently have commercialization in place in Benelux and France. And then the next step is the rest of Europe, directly or indirectly through licensing. So in a few figures, I would like to here mention that so we started back in 2017. We've developed this pilot microfactory that is up and running, and we are expecting the scale up to happen now up to 2030, where we see us with up to 14 automated line, all in function under LICO Labs. Just one last word on the margins, because I think it's the really important fact in the construction and building industry. So with this automation line, we are actually able to reduce the cost of production with 40% labor cost reduction compared to the current manual production. So this has a huge impact, obviously, on the margin. And this is also what we can offer to other players in the industry. So 25% EBITDA is what we are looking for in 2030. I think with this, I've done. I'm finished with the presentation. Feel free to ask any question, and we'll be happy to have further discussion later on this call or on a separate call. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen. It was really interesting. I think Chris have a question? Has a question.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. Some really cool stuff there. Well, quick question, because I saw some low-rise examples, and obviously with IBC, some of the regulatory challenges are less there, but you do show high-rise. So how has, with fire safing, how have you been managing the regulatory side of your approach with this product?
Yes, so our patents can go up to 20-story building. And actually, I think this is an important point, is that the ATEX that we are currently under, in a few weeks from now, 2 weeks, to be transparent, we should have it. And the family of patent, of certification that we should have is R+7. So this is already some floors from the ground. And we look to have the next family of certification in a few months after. So we really want to, the whole technology we've developed is concentrating on the mass production, but tailored production. And I think the beauty of the system is not with the low-rise building, but with the medium-sized building, R+6, R+7. And this is where we are concentrating our efforts. On the fire, there is no, of course, wood can burn as well as all materials, but we have all the techniques with the materials that we can put on the walls, the same way as the other materials. And we have the certification for 90 minutes, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half in the testing for burning.
Right, that's very helpful. Maybe we can have a conversation offline. I mean, some of the challenges, because we have a modular operation here in New York called Assembly, but we're dealing with 2-hour, ratings and stuff. So, but I don't want to take up more time, but maybe we can have a conversation offline. Anyway, really great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Happy to discuss.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Stephen. Well, if you have any further questions about the presentations or our global contact program, now is the time. You can activate your microphone or just type down your questions in the chat. And actually, we also invite you to participate if you wish to share your insights and thoughts related to the topic of sustainability in construction tech. We still have a few minutes, so feel free to do so, and if not, we can also conclude our session. I'll let you guys a few seconds if you want to participate. Okay, well, thanks a lot to our guests for the very complete introductions of Zacua Ventures and CRH Ventures, and of course of all of the startups for their presentations. Regarding Impulse Partners, we have more events coming soon. Our next online innovation session will take place on July 5th. I will send you the link to register, and it will be focused on energy and clean tech in construction. Thanks again for being here today, all of the companies, CVCs and funds which took the time for this really interesting session. And we hope to hear from you as soon as any discussion could be of interest, and of course to see you guys in July for our next innovation session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.